Mark, I think a week or two ago you said that you guys were still had your best football ahead of you. Usually teams are either getting better or fading away. Do you feel like you're just starting to take off now with Vernon back, and that really helped out the defense a lot the way your offense was playing?
I think we're definitely playing better in phases, and then still just need to put the complete thing together. Last night, a ton of yards, but not the matching points. Part of that is red zone execution. 2 picks in the end zone will affect that. Field goals affect that. So obviously, we want to finish those with touchdowns, and then. There's always errors like we talked about last night, whether it's coverage or fits or tackling that are kind of glossed over in the win, and then obviously a ton of special team stuff that I mean, it literally is installation day one type mistakes that happened last night that can't happen going forward. But as a whole, a ton of improvement and need to stay on that trend.
Mike?
Mark, last night the players were saying, and other coaches were saying, they're not satisfied yet. They're still looking for ways to finish drives. What exactly do they need to do to finish those drives to be satisfied with the overall product of the game?
Well, you're always kind of chasing perfection, right? We always talk about chasing better and just how you fit into the role. For instance, we have them 3rd and 100. And we get a personal foul, just ridiculous. That if that's a punt and you flip it and it's 50, 60, you can start to kind of get that frenzy going and create that momentum. But just of doing your job great, playing your role to the absolute best of your ability, including the scout team guys, including everybody in the phases we were just talking about. To that end, we did not have a special teams player of the game. The special teams scout of the week was Sean Kilpatrick. Offensive player of the game was 2, Tyler Johnstone and Evan Bayless. Our offensive scout of the week was Dylan Kane. Defensive player of the game was DeForest Buckner, and the defensive scout of the week was Morgan Mahalik.
Matt?
With Vernon and his escapability or designed run plays, how much do you feel like that opened up lanes for Royce and the other running backs behind him?
A ton. And you have to have the element in our offense that gap has to exist. The defense has to account for that, and if it's one false step that becomes an arm tackle for Royce, or as we saw last night, Kenai, Tony James, Taj, all getting better and better. That element has to be there.
Mike, do you have a question?
Yeah. So with so many guys running the ball so well last night, at or almost 100 yards on the ground, what was clicking for them last night?
For the most part, hitting things in the right spot. For the most part, still had a couple things that had some opportunities to have huge plays that either didn't press far enough and bounce too early outside or cut back too early to the backside. All kind of growing pain type of things. And then the offensive line played well. Still not great, perfect, but better and with more confidence. And so just again need to stay on that trend in preparation for Stanford.
Rob?
Can you illuminate a little more what you saw from Bayless that you like from him? I mean, I don't think he had a catch, so what did he do so well?
He probably had his best blocking game, definitely of this season. I don't know if it's of his career, and just of had a couple great finishes that sprung runs, set the edge several times in kind of the student body right type of action sweep play. Did a really good job setting the edge.
Andrew Greif, you have a question?
I do. Last night, Frost said that the offensive line he thinks is kind of his unsung hero in this turnaround. Thinks they played really, really well and consistently. Wondered if you had a position group that you thought has kind of gone under the radar but has played quite well in this 3-game turnaround.
Up until last night, I would have said special teams. And again, the two blocks were just really, really. They're just so easy to fix. It's that, that's what makes it that much more frustrating, like we talked about last night. But our return game has been really good. Our punt team had been excellent for the most part. Our coverage units, and then I think everybody else, at times has flashed, whether it's been the D-line, the linebackers, the secondary still improving. But everybody's kind of taken their turn, flashing for the good and flashing for the we need to fix it.
Ryan, there is.
Can you kind of describe what a week of practice and preparation's like for Charles to still getting up to speed with the secondary and obviously doing enough on offense where he is there to make a big play, and I'm not sure what all he does on special teams, but just
Right.
what all is he doing for you?
Yeah, in general, he's a defensive player in practice and special teams, and so 90+% of the time he's a defensive player and a special teams player, and then we'll pull him over for a few reps of 1-on-1, 7-on-7 as an offensive player, and then he just tries to hook up with Coach Lubick when he can, either before meetings, after meetings. Of Charles is a very smart football player and can learn things, even nuanced stuff, the weekly stuff, very quickly.
Mike Scout.
DP said last night that he thinks that the defense is buying into that defensive game plan, that philosophy, that they're more confident. Are you seeing the same thing?
Well, definitely, and so much of that as a defense, like we've talked about before, it's 11 guys. 11 guys doing their job. If I'm a defensive lineman, I'm not trying to peek around to do somebody else's job. I've got my pads down and I'm fitting my gap or fitting my offensive lineman, whatever it may be. And then last night we got some hands on some balls up front. We got some hands on the ball in the secondary. Made a lot more plays on the ball than we have in the past, and that's contagious too. Now we need to catch it.
Anything else, Andrew?
Yeah, I saw Malik Lovett took part in the participation report and missed him on the field, but he showed up in the report. What led you to decide that was a good one to maybe get rid of that red shirt for him?
As impossible it may be to believe, I think the sports information department made a mistake on that. He did not participate.
Aha.
Andy was too busy PAing.
I guess
It's excellent.
I guess regarding a young guy, obviously Canton Kamatue had so much praise, so much promise, and played pretty well coming back from his injury, at least flashed at times.
Mm-hmm.
I guess any insight into the last 2 weeks, hasn't seen the field, kind of what's kept him out of that?
He's not been available these last 2 weeks.
Brian?
DeForest playing with a big club hand, and a lot of NFL scouts were here last night. Can you just talk about the season he's having?
He's battling. I mean, the guy is playing his tail off, and it's one-handed. I mean, how he's done it. He's double teamed. He's triple teamed. He's chunked and chipped on their releases, and he's just battled. And I think more so than anything, just been a steadying force in there for a bunch of guys. Mentioned Canton of kind of mentoring all those guys and just being a great example of the guy hasn't missed a rep of practice. I mean, we take him out of practice to kind of force a little healing time and stuff. But he Defoe's a rock.